Alrighty, class. I hope everybody is watching this from a safe place. As you've gotten the notice, Houston is officially under hurricane watch, depending on exactly where the path leads. So there will be no class in session tomorrow. I will show the passcode later in this video. Sorry that I didn't get to meet those on the Wednesday. We'll have to do our introductions next week. I did want to take this time to just, now that I can share my screen and go through with each of y'all, I want to take a moment to walk through the Blackboard. So when you sign in, go to courses, everyone should see the intermediate financial accounting. Where we're going to start. So the announcements, most of the time if I make an announcement, I'll shoot everybody an email with it. If you're questioning what I said about something, you can come to here. A lot of good information. If you have any questions on here, reach out. Each week you'll need to go here to the course content, and again, 1 week in advance of this Sunday. By the time you wake up Monday morning for that week, you'll have all of the details in each one of these. However, before you get to Monday, you should know what chapter we're covering that week and start reading, so that way you're ready for our Monday discussion. Any of the assignments that you're going to need to turn in for that week are listed in here. So as you've noticed this week, your Monday and Wednesday attendance, telling me what the passcodes are. Everybody needs to submit here what their team assignment is. And then you have a link to the discussion board where everybody is saying hello to each other. I appreciate the activity so far. For those that have not figured out their groups yet or need some help, there's a discussion board starting here. Either look, say I'm a group that's looking for 1 or 2 more, or hey, you're an individual looking to join an open group. All righty. That's pretty much most of the homework. So we're going to start going into today's lecture. So I didn't want to start any of the chapters this week because I wanted everybody to have time to get the book, to settle into the routine. And so we won't start chapter 1 until next week. Instead, what we're going to finish up is talking about the extra credit assignment. So this assignment, it's up to 5% of your total grade. As it gets closer, I'll post the exact rubric of how to earn the total 5%. It is due the Sunday of Thanksgiving. And again, you have the entire semester basically to do this. I'm not saying you have to do this Thursday, and hopefully you start this now and you use it up into then and beyond. And what I mean by that is the extra credit assignment. What you're going to have to do is pretend that you yourself is an economic entity, and you're going to create your own personal budget. We're going to go through each one of these tabs and explain exactly what I'm including, but you're going to present yourself as an economic entity that is budgeting each month based off of your net worth and a set goal. And what I mean by that is your own personal budget. So the idea is that this is a tool that you're applying accounting to your day-to-day life in order to obtain your goal. Okay. So the 5% is based on having each one of the components that I mentioned. And again, professionalism. Act like I'm your boss of this entity. And I want to make sure before I give you your bonus that it matches up to our forecast. Okay. So to start this exercise, the first thing to do is look at your net worth or your balance sheet. And what that means is taking a look at your current assets and liabilities. What out there do you owe? How much cash is in your bank account? Think about, this semester is all about assets, but think about in your principal's accounts, what is an asset? What is a liability? And we know assets equal liability plus equity. So when you're thinking about that in terms of your own personal economic venture, we list out what our assets and liabilities are and the net of these two. So if assets are positive, liabilities are negative. The net of that is going to be what your net worth is, what our equity in ourselves is, the amount of savings that we have up, okay? Now, as a student, it's completely normal to be in negative. I have a big student loan as well. That's not the point here. The point is to actively track it and make sure that you're leading towards whatever your goals are. If you're currently in the stage of where you're not earning income, then in your economic life, that cash flow is negative, but you should be investing in an activity that's going to increase future outflow, that is your education. So it's okay to be in the negatives now, but we need to still track to make sure you're not going too far over negative. Whatever you've set out yourself to be, however much you plan on earning after you're done, how much are you going to be able to pay towards your student loans? There's a goal each year, each month that you need to be at, okay? So the exercise is just kind of thinking about what is in your life as your assets and liabilities. What net worth do you have? And then keeping an eye on this each month so you can see how that changes, okay? And just in an economic, again, we have to have a goal. And so for me, the way that I've created my goal is at some point I'm gonna wanna retire. And when I retire, I'm gonna need to have enough to where each year the interest I earn off of my investment matches the expenses that I'm currently spending. And I take that as a measurement of these are, and again, this is all data that I've just thrown in there, but it's a rough idea of what mine looks like. But this is how my paycheck is spent each year. There's some assumptions that during retirement, I'm not gonna have to pay daycare anymore. My house is probably gonna be half the size it is now because I'm not gonna have children. I'm gonna have to spend more on healthcare. So there's some items in there built in that creates, this is how much I need a month, this is how much I need a year. If I'm earning a 5% interest, that means this is how much I need to have. And then I use time value of money to back in. So each year, this is how much. Now, in reality, what you're saving each year is going to be the net of these two. But ideally, if you're increasing in your assets, you're increasing your net worth, you should be getting more earned interest in those type of passive income. And at the same time, marking out how much of your current savings. But again, the net of these two is what the increase in your net worth is for each year that you're alive. So that takes then what your current year savings need to be. Savings in this term is just your income minus your expenses. So we have a year, and then yes, the requirement is for a retirement goal, a current year savings amount, and that current year savings amount is tied to a monthly budget. Each month, this is how much I expect to make with my day job. Do I have any other items? Do I currently have a savings account that's earning me interest? Is there a 401k match on my employer's paycheck? I'm gonna have to pay taxes, I'm gonna have to pay healthcare, I'm gonna have to pay for where I live. All of your expenses here should create a net amount of savings. There's always needs to be room for error. Something's gonna happen. A hurricane's hitting, I have to go spend a week in a hotel somewhere. Leave room to wiggle. And then start tracking it each month based off of what your accounts are. Come in here and start listing the activity that you have for that month. Again, this is just some sample data. Feel free to put sample data in there, but I need to be able to see that these formulas are working. And no, you're not getting this file. You'll have to create it from scratch and make it your own. Feel free. But you need to start creating, these are the transactions. Now, the way that I have this is basically a journal entry where this is the account that it debits and this is the account that it credits. So any positive in here is a positive increase to my net worth. The debit's going to an asset account, or it's decreasing a liability. The credit side of it is going to where I'm spending it on my income. These are all to where it goes directly into here, and each month I can start tracking in real time what my expenses are. And now that I have all of the activity of my entire economic life in here, I can then put it into a pivot table. All I have to do is each month hit refresh, and I can start looking at. Now, how this looks is going to depend on how you plan on looking at your expenses and budget. How is it going to best serve you? There's three ways that I look at it. First, I look at just overall for the year, what was my total expense? I can come in here and divide that by how many months to get an average. But then I also like to see where my interest is coming from, because it's going to be a little bit more complicated than just I have one asset that's going to earn this much of interest, because I have debt on my car, I have debt on my house, I have assets in a 401k and a bank. There's different things out there. So I like to know where that interest is coming from. And then the significant amounts, I can go in here and actually make a pivot to where I'm just looking at one particular account. Each month, this is the amount that I put into it. So these are 401k matches, my beginning and ending balances. And then that tells me what an effective interest rate is for that investment. Okay, so that tells me, do I continue to invest in this activity? Do I find other ones? Okay, but again, the pivot one, I'm not so worried about how you set it up. It's how is it best for you to analyze these transactions in order to refine this each time you look at it. You only have to look at it once a month, maybe every 3 months, but you go in there, you drop in the new data, and you have this personal tool. Now, up to this point, we've been talking using the accrual method. As an economic entity, you will use the accrual method. You have to focus on the fact that it's not exactly when the cash moves, but when the economic transaction occurs. However, being a person, you're not really open to unlimited capital. You don't have the ability to drain that bank account any more than you can. So I convert this into a 12-month cash flow to where this is how much all of my accounts currently have in cash. This is my monthly payments. I have my day job paying this amount each month. Then I'm paying these vendors each month, my rent, my bills. And I want to forecast, and it's not going to be perfect, but again, the more you do this, the more you'll see, oh, I forgot each month this comes out, or this month this comes out. Okay, so that's your extra credit, and I hope that even though you don't need the 5%, you take the time to at least consider how are you going to take what you learned in this course for accounting and apply it to your own personal life. Because if you don't, then what's the point of knowing this information? You know, if you work at a restaurant, sometimes you get discounts on food. If you're an accountant, hopefully you know how to balance your own budget. Alrighty. With that in mind, we're going to go to today's passcode, and this one is going to be a moment of reflection. It's a challenge that I'm presenting to everybody for this semester. Each day, just take 5 minutes to kind of think about what it is you're doing, why it is you're doing it, and how to approach that. Now, this is a Christian university, and therefore I'm putting this in the terminology of the Christian faith with the Holy Trinity. But scientists have even kind of matched this to Eastern culture with the mind, the body, the soul. There's scientific data that doing these activities each day, whether to a spiritual being or just to inner focus on yourself, produces positive results. So those results vary. You can go matrix on it and move across the room, or just a deeper understanding of your relationship with God and just a more calm, peaceful mindset. So what we're doing in this class is focusing more on the purpose. So at the beginning of the class, I've asked each of y'all, what was your purpose for taking this course? What was your purpose for signing up as an accounting or finance major? What I'm challenging you to do is each day when you come into class, consciously remember that decision, that the purpose of you being in this class is so that you can do whatever it is you said you do. Further your walk with God, help those small businesses understand a difficult economy. The real estate, your goal is to be there to assist those that are making this big decision. So that's the purpose that we're talking about. At the same time, this is a school, so hopefully I'm shaping your mind, but I want you to consciously think about the mind as a muscle needs exercise. As the Christian faith, we call this prayer. Some call it meditating. Some use a mantra, have a word that they repeat over and over. We have different scriptures that we can think of and pray, but the goal is just calm your mind long enough to just think inward, and through that connect with God the Father and see what it is that he wants you to think about for those 5-10 minutes a day, and just take that peace with you throughout the day. And then the body is the body of Christ. We've all accepted Jesus into our heart, but think of that, what that means is that he is embodied into you, and your body is a temple. So anything that you do that benefits the health of your body is therefore a form of worship. So each day I want you to take one activity that you do and realize that you're doing it as a form of worship, as a just mental note, hey, I'm doing this for my body so that my body can be a temple for you. Whether that's drinking a glass of water, if you already exercise, great. During that exercise, while you're sweating and grunting, think to yourself, this is just the suffering that I'm taking in so that my body can withstand further suffering. And just as Jesus suffered for me, maybe I can use this suffering to take on someone else's pain. And just mentally to yourself for those 10-30 minutes that you're exercising, consciously use your body for Christ. Again, any religion this fits in, the mind, the body, the soul. You have to think about what it is you're physically doing and why it is you're doing it. And so that's the goal. And I'm not asking you to change your day completely. This can be as simple as the 2 minutes it takes for you to brush your teeth. Realize that that's something healthy you're doing for your body. Think about during those 2 minutes, inviting God into your morning and through the rest of your day, but consciously be present for those 2 minutes. I'm sorry, the dog keeps pulling this toy at me. I'm trying to make sure she doesn't interrupt y'all. But use those 2 minutes to just meditate. If you want to use a particular prayer, a particular scripture, repeat that over and over in your head for those 2 minutes that you're brushing your teeth. And then ask yourself, why did you wake up this morning? What it is that you want to accomplish today that you're going to go set forth out and do. Okay? So I just want to take this challenge for y'all to use this semester. And again, the passcode today is Holy Trinity. For those that are looking at online, please put some comments in below on what it is you plan to take this measure. But again, science have gone through the data, and these just being mental, making a conscious decision to be in the moment, doing a particular action for a particular reason, at least once a day, consistently every day. And let's see what the benefit is at the end of the year. All right, with that in mind, I hope everybody is staying safe and y'all have a great week. I'll see y'all Monday. Please be sure to read chapter 1, as I'm going to assume you know everything that's in there when we start discussing Monday. So thanks, and y'all have a great weekend.